Good afternoon, John Verlin once again with On-Demand Advertising Solutions. Another digital marketing update. This is video podcast number 97. Recently had another email. I get these periodically with questions and comments, things like that, and I appreciate you sending those in. This is Katrina, and I believe she's in Emporia, Kansas. So Katrina, she's got a good question. She just wants to know basically why I recommend doing podcast or podcasting to build a business. And that's a good question. She indicated she didn't know a lot of businesses. I imagine she's talking about maybe not just Emporia, but other cities that are not using podcasting to build their business as much. And traditionally, people, of course, have used, as far as small businesses, direct mail, email marketing, the standard print, radio, TV. A lot of people are starting to do social media marketing now. But as we've emphasized throughout the beginnings of these podcasts over the last year or so, the whole climate's changed in how businesses are being marketed. We're seeing so many more having to have an online presence because of course, everything's moving digital. TV, the whole host of options now are opened up online for just about everything. We train, robotics at businesses to artificial intelligence, things like that. And recently, I've got it listed there on the podcast posting, but there's a good article about the future of marketing is that podcast that was an entrepreneur. And Mr. Agrawal makes some good points in this post as marketing and social media platforms are changing their services up, okay, and their methods. This has happened, of course, recently with pretty much all of them, and primarily on Facebook because of privacy issues and what they're focusing on, as well as Google, what they look for as far as content. And more of them are favoring rich media content like podcasts or videos and are making further inroads into the marketing terrain of what businesses need to have. And so, as I mentioned before, no longer are email marketing, direct mail marketing, even social media marketing infallible. You may have experimented with these. You may have been doing them. Of course, the direct mail marketing, Postal Service has shrunken considerably, although people swear by it. They swear by everything, and sometimes they just swear because they're having a lot of frustration. But that's why the focus on original rich media content is so critical, and it always has been. You may not have seen businesses do a lot of consistent updating on their content, on their websites and things like that, or unless they have a blog or whatever. But this has never not been important, particularly for websites. It used to be you'd want a newspaper article about your business or a story about you. You still do, but now it's all online primarily. So this shift is requiring marketers to adapt in order to compete for prospects and customers in this new online world. So why do I recommend podcasting? Okay, and that's a great question, Katrina. First of all, if we were to understand how the internet works, and I know a lot of small businesses, they really don't. And over the years, they've possibly been sold a bill of goods from different search engine firms or digital marketing firms or whatever, and it's changing. It's ever changing. You can plan one thing now, and a year from now, it's obsolete. So that's why staying on top of this is so critical. But content has never gone out of style. And that, I'm talking since the cavemen. Paintings in caves of animals and stories being told, things like that, oral traditions being passed down. That was podcasting in the Stone Age. So rich media content, which is now favored by all of the search engine platforms and social media platforms, is really moving everything in that direction, from Netflix original movies to Amazon Prime original content to your business. And you may not have thought about, well, how do I have original content with my business? Well, that's where podcasting can come in and be helpful. So if we understand what these different platforms and search engines are looking for on the internet. If you as a small business owner understand that, when you're making your marketing plans, you'll want to include rich media content, which can be the source of rankings and listings because it contains vital keywords, phrases, things of interest that can be searched. Not only searched, shared, liked, followed. Do you see why this is important, Katrina? And podcasting is one of the simple ways to solve all that. You can do video and other things, and you probably should in addition to that. I recommend animated videos, for example, to help promote and tell your story quickly. But podcasting, and this has been talked about in the Virgin Group with Richard Branson's companies, of delving, they call it a deep dive into entrepreneurial stories. And they're finding that their customers on Virgin Atlantic Airlines and things like that really enjoy listening to these long-form stories about entrepreneurs. That's really all you're doing is a deep dive about your business on a regular basis, and it's promoted through social media, through whatever means you want, because it's all placed on platforms such as a blog or whatever, or YouTube, which are growing in leaps and bounds. Okay, and just look at the YouTube stars. Okay, engagement with this content is being used with video and podcast, as I've mentioned before, that was in that article in Entrepreneur. So could podcasting be the next marketing breakthrough of the marketing frontier? And again, I've mentioned traditionally a lot of businesses have fallen short on this consistent and relevant content about their business, but it really is a simple, searchable way to master this issue. And recently, Paul McCartney was with he was doing that with the Carpool Karaoke. And they were talking about the Beatles' music and how it's still relevant today after all these years. That's why relevancy of content is so important, because it really rocks when it comes to promoting your business. Now, radio stations, we've talked about this before, but radio stations have been using podcasting for years to not only promote their shows, interviews, commentaries, but also to get listeners engaged and get their retention, to have them keep coming back, because they can promote something in 30 seconds on air and tell them to go to their website to build traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're doing with podcasting is really the same thing. It's a smaller form, but you're giving content and listener retention or prospect listener retention by doing this. Same techniques, okay? An interview-style podcasting, which I like to do with clients, where I could interview you, for example, about your business, it does a number of things. It sort of gives you permission to promote yourself without looking too cheesy. Because if somebody's interviewing you, it's more legitimate, like a newsworthy thing, as opposed to you just talking about how great you are, in a nutshell. So that style of podcasting is really cool. You can do them in short 15-minute bursts. You can make them shorter. You can make them longer. I like to do about 15 minutes because that's long enough to cover most issues without boring people and short enough to keep it interesting. Okay? And you're highlighting and promoting your expertise. It makes for ready and easy prospect consumption. That's what a lot of this is about, because it gives you a Hollywood-style image. You're a radio host. You got a radio show. This goes a long way towards building a brand presence on the web, particularly among your fans, quote unquote, and prospects. So in a digital world of quick links, shares, and likes, podcasting fits right into this spread the word about your business thing. It used to be you tell somebody over the fence about some product you use. Well, now you can share it with them and they can experience it firsthand. Now, there's numerous podcast hosting sites like Podomatic. Of course, you got iTunes. They allow prospects to search and to listen to all sorts of content. They have their own built-in platforms. So if you have it hosted on one platform, link to your blog, or however you want to do all this, email it to people, email a link, email the MP3. There's a host of ways to promote this. And it all comes down to engaging your prospects. And good content is three things: entertaining, informative, and educational. Now, how can you not want to do that for your business? Because you're getting people involved. It gives you something to promote, a way to build traffic and listings and rankings on the search engines, because your podcasting offers search engine optimization techniques of keywords, long tail keywords, search phrases, etc., etc. And video podcasting allows you to place it in a video format on YouTube, which is the second biggest search engine in the world next to Google, which is owned by Google, by the way. So, Katrina, all these various reasons are why I recommend podcasting. It's fun. Oh, I forgot to add that. It's fun. And it's just amazing how you can talk about anything and everything about your business that can be found. So it's a great way to build your business as far as traffic, an online presence, a brand, and gives you something to promote through all your other advertising. Not only online, but traditional marketing. John Verlin12 at AT&T.net is my email. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again, Katrina, for your question and comment. I'd love to hear from you all, and I'm at ondemandadvertisingsolutions.com. We'll talk to you again soon.